Moment of truth. It's time to cut some of my roofing pieces to fit. So the first piece that I'm going to install is called a drip lip, and it's going to go along the back here. And it is this piece right here. Now you may recall that my span there is 64 inches. I'm actually going to cut this piece to 66 inches for a couple different reasons. Number one, to build myself in a little bit of wiggle room for jagged cuts, but also cutting it an inch long on both sides will allow me to kind of fold it over and create more protection for the wood substructure. Here's my mark. And real live roofers have fancy tin snips, right-handed and left-handed. We have your basic set of tin snips. So that's what I'm going to use. Luckily, the only cuts I have to make are pretty short like this. I don't have to cut any of the panels themselves because I reverse engineered the structure to match what I already have. So I'm going to cut this one and install the drip lip and then move on. I cannot overstate the importance of eye protection when you're working with sheet metal or any metal like this. I'm going to be drilling screws through this metal, and that's going to create tiny little shards of metal. If those get in your eyes, you need to seek immediate medical attention because it can cause lasting damage to your eyeball. Wood sucks to get in your eye. Do not recommend that either. I typically wear eye protection no matter what, as should you, but it's doubly important when you're dealing with metal. All right, let's discuss the hardware that I've chosen here. You may notice that these are not sheet metal roofing screws. These are just regular all-purpose Torx bit screws. That's fine because this particular portion of the roofing is going to be covered by the paneling. And I specifically actually did not go with the sheet metal screws because those will sit pretty high off the surface of the sheet metal and it'll get in the way when I put those sheets down. This is never going to see water or weather or anything like that, so it's just fine, and it went straight through. So next up, I'm going to take these tin snips and I'm going to come in and cut, show over here, along this seam right there. That's going to allow me to fold over the pieces of sheet metal and give a little more protection to this wood piece right here. I also have another piece that's going to go over that. So by the time I'm done, it should be fairly weather tight, especially for a chicken coop. Now the order in which you do your folds does actually matter. If I fold this down first and then this around, it won't give as much protection as if I fold this in first and then this down, because this piece will then completely cover this right here instead of having kind of an ugly seam showing there, which, because that seam would be facing uphill, water could potentially get in there and pool on this milled end here and cause problems down the road. So I want to avoid that. I also don't want this to go all the way to that milled end because the whole point of a drip lip is that it sheds water away from the wood. So if I look underneath here, there's definitely a gap by design between the board running across there and the metal out here. So water will come down here and be shed away from the structure. So in that spirit, that's actually as far as I want to go. And the tool that I'm using for this is a small dead blow hammer. This is just a cheapo tool. You can get it Harbor Freight or wherever you do your shopping for this kind of thing. And now I'm going to fold this piece over. Left-handed even. Look at you go, Erica. And my first panel is in place. And because I reverse engineered it, it fits like a glove. I put in 1, 2, 3, 4 of the screws. And these are a special type of screw. They have a gasket and a washer that comes on them. And the gasket is meant not to be tightened down too much. So hopefully I accomplished that. It's just meant to seal it because you don't want water getting in there. Now this roofing has a hidden fastener system, which means that I'm going to come along now on that side and put a screw right here. Now ideally it would fall where these eyes are, but that's not going to work all the time. It will work on this one right there, so that'll be nice. But I can just go through the wood and it'll work out beautifully. All right, my next panel's going on, and I'm using that ridge as a guide. And then I'm gonna have to go around to the bottom and pick it up there. And then I'm gonna use the dead blow hammer to hammer it down. All right, so coming all the way to the edge here. Now I do want to point out that something we learned from our favorite roofer friend is that ideally you want your bottom edges to have this kind of rolled edge, but these are trimmed pieces, so they're not all going to have that. And because of that, and the fact that this is a chicken coop, I'm going to say that this is just fine and put it in place. Going pretty quickly now. Just going to put in my screws up onto the purlins and repeat, and then basically I'm already half done. Now I have special pieces that go over these last seams on either side to prevent this board here from getting waterlogged, and also to protect these fasteners. So I am going to go back to my sheet metal screws now with the gasket because they will be exposed to the elements. I actually cut it 1 inch long on purpose because I wanted it to overhang just enough over here that it would protect this corner. So you might recall that I did a little snip and fold operation there, and I do want that to be as covered and protected as possible. So I cut this a little bit long. But what these pieces do is prevent water from getting up over the ridge and on the other side there. So it is actually about 1 inch inland, I'll call it, from that ridge, and that's a good thing. It means that water will never be allowed to get on the underside here. And as I mentioned, I went back to my sheet metal screws because this is going to be exposed, and I want to make sure that there are no problems. Second side is done. Now all that's left is this piece that's going to go across the top here. I have a piece of leftover ridge cap, but it is about 1 foot too short. Womp womp. But I do have this piece of drip lip, and if I put that there, it'll accomplish my goal of preventing water from blowing straight in to the top of the roof. The only bummer is it won't really protect this front side here, so I'm going to have to think about something to do there. I could cut a strip of OSB to go along there, but I don't really like that idea because it's going to see a lot of weather exposure. So I am going to use a strip of leftover cement board siding, which is actually primed for paint already, meant to be for exterior, and is not too thick so that my drip lip will be able to go over it really nicely. I have one screw preset in there. It's going to hit right there, and then I'm going to secure it along the top there. It will still allow for some ventilation. There will be a gap right at the bottom of the span right there, but it'll also shield that OSB, and it'll give the drip lip something to overhang. This stuff is super brittle, so I'm not over tightening my screws. I'm being super cautious and conservative there because I don't want it to break out the area around the screws. And I'm also making very carefully sure to hold it up where I need it to go before securing the next screw. I kind of get one shot at this. Et voila! Now I just need to screw the drip lip down and we'll be in business on that roof. Last step here on the roof, I'm going to snip that seam up to where it comes in and fold just like I did down at the bottom to finish this corner. Bonus, now that the coop is roofed, I can leave my tools in it and I don't have to schlep them all over the place every time I want to come back out and work. And there we go. Now, yes, I know it's a little bit wavy at the top there, and I'm sure that there is a more professional way to handle that, but it's going to be watertight and my chickens should be pretty happy.